Ever tried to solve a tricky problem by kind of working backward from the solution?
Yeah.
Like reverse engineering a recipe to figure out the ingredients?
Uh-huh.
Turns out, teaching AI to think this way could unlock a whole new level of reasoning power.
Yeah.
We're diving into your research paper. Reverse thinking makes LLMs stronger reasoners today.
Okay.
To see how it's all done.
Yeah, it's a fascinating approach because reverse thinking is something, we humans do naturally.
Right.
If you think about solving a math problem,
Uh-huh.
you might check your work by plugging the answer back in.
Right.
This paper explores how to train AI models to do something similar.
Okay, so let's unpack that.
Sure.
The paper talks about these things called LLMs, right?
Right, LLM stands for large language models.
Okay.
And they're the foundation of many AI systems we see today.
Okay, and the researchers are trying to teach these LLMs to think backward.
Yeah.
How does that even work?
So they've developed a framework called REVTHINK, which essentially trains the AI to reason in both directions, forward and backward.
So is it like training the AI to solve the same problem twice, but in different directions?
It's a bit more nuanced than that.
Okay.
They actually use two AI models, a teacher AI and a student AI.
Interesting. Is the teacher like a super smart AI that shows the student the ropes?
Exactly. The teacher is a more capable AI,
Right.
something like the Gemini model.
Oh, yeah.
It generates training data for the student,
Okay.
which is a smaller model like Mistral.
And what kind of training data does the teacher create?
It provides both forward and backward reasoning steps for a given problem.
Okay.
It's not just giving the student the answer, it's showing it the entire thought process, both
yeah.
forward and in reverse.
So the student AI is getting a much richer learning experience. It's not just memorizing answers, it's seeing how to arrive at those answers from multiple angles.
Precisely. And what's fascinating is that during testing, the AI only uses forward reasoning. The backward steps are internalized during training,
Right.
almost like a subconscious process.
That's really clever. It's like learning a new language by practicing speaking it in different ways,
Yeah,
even if you ultimately only use one in conversation.
that's a great analogy.
So does all this training actually pay off?
Yeah.
Did they see any improvements in the AI's reasoning abilities?
Yes, the results are pretty impressive.
Okay.
They tested REVTHINK on 12 datasets,
Okay.
covering various reasoning tasks like common sense reasoning, math, logic,
Wow.
and even natural language inference.
Give us the wow factor. How much better did the AIs perform with this reverse thinking training?
On average, they outperformed standard methods by over 13%.
Wow.
And here's a specific example.
Okay.
On a dataset called Strategy QA,
Uh-huh.
the AI trained with REVTHINK using only 10% of the data
Wow.
outperformed the standard method trained on the full dataset.
Hold on. It did better with less data.
Exactly.
That's incredible. So you're telling me it's not just about throwing more data at the problem?
Right.
It's about teaching the AI to learn more efficiently.
Exactly. That's one of the most exciting aspects of this research.
Wow.
It suggests that we can train AI to be much more efficient, especially in situations where data is limited.
So it's like teaching someone to fish instead of giving them a fish.
Yeah.
They can then apply that skill to any situation.
Exactly.
This could be a game changer, especially for areas where data is scarce or expensive to collect.
Absolutely. But it's not just about efficiency.
Right.
The researchers also found that REVTHINK improves the AI's ability to generalize.
Okay, break that down for me. What does generalization mean in this context?
It means the AI can apply its knowledge to new tasks or problems
Okay.
it hasn't specifically seen before.
Huh.
Think of it like learning to ride a bike.
Okay.
Once you master the skill, you can apply it to different bikes and terrains.
So we're talking about AI that's not just good at memorizing,
Right.
but actually understanding and applying knowledge in new situations. That's a big deal.
It is, and there's even more.
Okay. They also found that the benefits of REVTHINK increase with the size of the AI model.
So the bigger the brain,
Yeah.
the better it learns to think in reverse.
It seems that way.
Right.
This suggests that the approach is scalable and could become even more powerful as AI models continue to grow in size and complexity.
This is all pretty exciting.
Yeah.
But did the researchers find any limitations to this reverse thinking approach?
Yes. They acknowledge that certain problems are better suited for reverse thinking than others.
Okay.
For example, it works well for problems that have a clear inverse relationship, like math problems, but less so for areas like number theory,
Yeah.
where that relationship isn't always clear.
That makes sense.
It's like trying to reverse engineer a complex algorithm.
Right.
Sometimes you can retrace the steps, and other times it's just too intricate.
Exactly. The nature of the problem itself plays a role in how effective reverse thinking can be.
Right.
So we've covered what reverse thinking is, how the REVTHINK framework works,
Uh-huh.
and some promising results. Yes.
But before we get ahead of ourselves,
Sure.
let's dive into the specifics of how they tested this and what other insights they uncovered.
Okay.
You mentioned 12 data sets, right?
Yeah.
Tell me more about those.
Well, they covered a wide range of reasoning tasks.
Okay.
And each data set presented unique challenges for the AI. For example, there was one called...
Okay, 12 data sets. That sounds like a pretty thorough test.
Yeah.
So what kind of problems did these data sets cover?
Well, they covered a broad range of reasoning challenges, from basic math problems to more complex tasks like understanding cause and effect in stories. And across the board, REVTHINK showed significant improvements.
Can you give me an example of a specific data set
Sure.
and how REVTHINK made a difference?
Sure. Take the Common Sense QA dataset, for instance.
Okay.
It's designed to test an AI's ability to reason about everyday situations
Right.
and make judgments based on common sense knowledge.
So like understanding that if someone is carrying an umbrella, it's probably raining.
Exactly. And with REVTHINK, the AI showed a marked improvement in its ability to solve these kinds of problems.
Okay.
It's like the reverse thinking process helped it make those connections between everyday scenarios and the logical conclusions we draw from them.
That's really interesting. It's like teaching the AI to think more like a human,
Yeah,
using common sense and logic to navigate the world.
that's a great way to put it. And this improvement in common sense reasoning has implications for a wide range of AI applications.
Right.
Imagine a virtual assistant that can understand your needs more intuitively,
Right.
or a self-driving car that can better anticipate and respond to unexpected situations on the road.
Those are some compelling examples.
Yeah.
It sounds like REVTHINK is about more than just boosting performance on benchmark datasets.
Yeah.
It's about making AI more adaptable and intelligent in the real world.
Precisely. And this is reflected in another key finding of the research.
Howdy.
They discovered that REVTHINK led to significant improvements in the AI's ability to learn from limited data.
We touched on this earlier. You mentioned the AI doing better with only 10% of the data
Oh, right.
on that strategy QA dataset. Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. They found that REVTHINK consistently outperformed standard methods, even when given significantly less training data.
Right.
This is a huge advantage,
Okay.
especially in fields where data is scarce or expensive to collect.
So it's not just about making AI smarter.
Yeah,
It's about making it more efficient and resourceful.
exactly.
That could democratize access to AI
Yeah.
for researchers and developers
Hey,
who don't have the resources of a Google or a Microsoft.
exactly. It opens up a world of possibilities for smaller teams and organizations to leverage the power of AI, even with limited data sets.
This is really groundbreaking stuff.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how did the researchers break down the different elements of REVTHINK to understand what was contributing most to these improvements?
They did some really clever experiments to isolate the different components of the framework. Remember how we talked about the AI learning to generate forward reasoning, a backward question, and then solve that question with backward reasoning?
Yeah, it sounded like a pretty comprehensive training regime.
It was. And what they found was that all three components
Okay.
play a role in the overall improvement, but some were more impactful than others.
Interesting. So which part of the training process seemed to be the most crucial?
Well, surprisingly, they discovered that simply training the AI to answer backward questions without the backward reasoning step
Okay.
actually hurt performance.
Really, that's counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Why would that be?
They believe it's because those backward questions on their own can sometimes be a bit out of context.
Okay.
It's like trying to learn a new language by just studying grammar rules without ever actually speaking or listening to the language.
Right.
You might have a theoretical understanding, but you won't be very fluent.
That makes sense. So focusing solely on answering backward questions can lead the AI down the wrong path, so to speak.
Yeah.
But what about the other tasks?
Adding the task of generating backward questions alongside the standard forward reasoning task already showed some improvement.
So even without the backward reasoning, just getting the AI to think about how to formulate a reverse question is beneficial.
It seems that way. It's like prompting the AI to think about the problem from a different angle,
Right.
which in itself can lead to new insights.
Yeah.
But of course, the best results were achieved when all three tasks were combined.
So the ideal scenario is to have the AI learn how to generate forward reasoning, generate backward questions,
Right.
and then solve those backward questions with backward reasoning. It's like a complete package for developing a deeper understanding.
Exactly. They even experimented with different ways of presenting these tasks to the AI,
Uh-huh.
but ultimately found that the simplest approach, training on all three simultaneously,
What?
worked best.
So no need to overcomplicate things. Just give the AI the space and flexibility to learn and make connections on its own. This is really fascinating. It sounds like the researchers were really meticulous in dissecting how and why REVTHINK works.
They were, and they didn't stop there.
Okay.
They also wanted to understand how well this approach scales with different model sizes.
Meaning if you use a bigger, more powerful AI model, does REVTHINK still work?
Exactly, and the answer is a resounding yes.
Okay.
They tested it on a range of models,
Uh-huh.
from small ones with just a few billion parameters
Right.
to massive ones with hundreds of billions.
What did they find?
REVTHINK consistently improved performance no matter the size of the model.
Wow.
It even allowed a smaller model trained with REVTHINK to outperform a much larger model trained without it.
Wow, that's pretty compelling evidence that this approach is onto something fundamental about how AI learns.
It is. It suggests that reverse thinking isn't just a trick that works with certain types of AI models.
Right.
It seems to be a more general principle that can be applied across the board.
This is incredibly exciting. We've talked about efficiency, scalability, and the importance of specific tasks within REVTHINK.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious about how well this translates to real-world performance.
Sure.
Did they test how well these models generalize to unseen data?
That's a great question. And yes, they did.
Yeah.
They specifically tested how well the models could perform on data sets they hadn't been trained on.
And how do they fare?
The models trained with REVTHINK consistently showed better generalization compared to the baseline methods.
Okay.
They were able to apply their knowledge to new situations and solve problems they had never encountered before.
That's really impressive. It suggests that this approach isn't just about memorizing patterns in the data.
Right?
It's about developing a deeper understanding of the underlying concepts and principles.
Exactly. And they saw particularly strong gains on data sets designed to test this type of reverse reasoning.
So it really does live up to its name. But tell me, did they look into when REVTHINK is most effective?
Yeah.
Like what kinds of problems benefit the most from this reverse thinking approach?
That's a great question, and they did.
Oh.
They discovered that REVTHINK was particularly effective for problems that are naturally invertible.
Okay, remind me what that means again.
Think of it like a math equation.
Okay.
You can solve it in one direction to get the answer,
Right.
but you can also reverse the steps to go back to the original problem.
Right.
That's invertibility.
So something like addition and subtraction.
Yeah.
You can easily go back and forth.
Exactly. And they found that REVTHINK really shines in areas like algebra,
Okay.
pre-calculus,
Uh-huh.
and even probability, where you can often work backward from the solution to the problem.
But it wasn't as effective in areas like number theory.
Right. Those problems are often more complex
Right.
and don't always have a clear inverse relationship. It's like
Oh.
trying to untangle a really complicated knot. Sometimes it's just too intricate to reverse the process.
That makes sense. It's not a magic bullet that works for every single problem. But it seems like a powerful tool for a wide range of applications.
Yeah.
What else did they discover about when REVTHINK is most effective?
Well, they also found that it worked best on problems that were classified as medium hard in terms of difficulty.
So not the super easy ones or the impossibly hard ones, but that sweet spot in between.
Exactly. It's like having a tutor who helps you with the problems you're struggling with,
Right.
but knows when to step back and let you figure things out on your own.
This makes me think about the potential of reverse thinking in education.
Yeah.
Could this be used to create AI tutors that personalize learning and help students grasp those challenging concepts?
That's a fascinating application, and it highlights a crucial aspect of this research.
Right.
They found that reverse thinking actually sheds light on how well an AI understands a problem.
So it's not just about getting the right answer. It's about demonstrating true comprehension.
Precisely when the AI could successfully generate backward reasoning for a problem, it was a strong indication that it had grasped the underlying concepts, not just memorized the steps.
That's a really powerful insight. It's like the difference between knowing the formula for the area of a circle
Right.
and actually understanding why that formula works.
Exactly. And this has important implications for how we evaluate and assess the capabilities of AI systems.
Right.
We need to move beyond simply looking at performance metrics
True.
and develop more sophisticated methods for probing AI's understanding.
Reverse thinking could be a key part of that.
Yeah.
It's almost like a window into the AI's mind,
Uh-huh.
revealing the depth of its learning.
Right?
This has been such an insightful deep dive. We've explored how teaching AI to think in reverse can boost its reasoning abilities,
Yes.
make it more efficient with data,
Uh-huh.
and even give us a glimpse into its understanding.
It's been a fascinating journey, hasn't it?
Yeah,
And I think this research just scratches the surface of what's possible.
exactly. It opens up a world of possibilities for developing more intelligent, adaptable,
Yeah.
and maybe even more human-like AI systems.
AI that can not only solve complex problems,
Right.
but also explain its reasoning in a way we can understand.
That's a future I'm excited to see unfold.
Me too.
So for our listeners who are eager to learn more,
Mm-hmm.
what are some key takeaways they should remember from our deep dive into reverse thinking?
I'd say the most important thing to remember is that we're on the cusp of a new era in AI.
Okay.
One where AI is not just a tool, but a partner in problem solving,
Right.
a collaborator that can augment our own abilities.
And reverse thinking is playing a crucial role in making that happen.
Absolutely. It's a powerful approach that's not only boosting AI performance,
Uh-huh.
but also giving us a deeper understanding of how it learns and reasons. And that
Well,
understanding is crucial if we want to build a future where AI is both intelligent and beneficial to humanity.
that's a perfect note to end on.
Yeah, it is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And to our listeners, keep exploring, keep questioning,
Yes.
and keep diving deep into the fascinating world of AI.